The doors to the Viridian Tea House are open once more. Hey guys, happy Wednesday. Hope you guys are doing well. And seeing as how this is April, happy National Poetry Month. I think we could really use more poetry these days. I will admit I'm a sucker for poetry, and actually, one of the goals for me this year is to read poetry from poets from different countries. Haven't really gotten there yet because I've been busy with other things, but it's still April. Anyway, today's tea is Tisane of the Ravensdale. Now, Tisane, if you don't know, is herbal infusion. Some people do call herbal teas to be herbal tea, but other people in the tea industry say that unless if a blend has Camellia sinensis or the tea plant in it, you can't really call it tea. Tomato, so I just stick with Tisane. This is actually inspired by my book, The Decembrists, which was published through Dark Oak Press in Memphis, Tennessee, and it is a dark fantasy psychological thriller involving a younger black woman and an older white male in Memphis, Tennessee, and that's all I'm going to say. Okay, one more thing. I did write the sequel, The Violet Queen, which will be published by Prose Press in the next upcoming years, I think. Anyway, so Tisane of the Ravensdale is blackberry leaves, sage, rose hips, and I think peppermint. I don't have the label with me, so I apologize for that. But I figured you can watch me. I get such a thrill out of using my French press. All right. Here we go. This has actually been steeping for a while, so I'll get all the goodies in this herbal tea. Shout out to the Audubon Aquarium for this wonderful octopus mug. As you guys may or may not know, I'm all about the octopus. Cephalopods unite. Hmm, that's a very calming, minty taste. That's quite nice. And it's also really hot, and I just burnt my tongue. Anyway, how about I'm just going to pour a little bit more, and I'm going to put this to the side to let this cool. I've always said that tea and books go really well. Well, what about tea and poetry? I think they go hand in hand quite well as well. That didn't make any sense. Anyway, just roll with me. Anyway, I printed off a couple of some of my favorite poems, and I just wanted to read them for you today. So, if you haven't gotten a cup of coffee or tea or orange juice or whatever you like to drink around 11:09 Mountain Standard Time, go ahead and get it now, and I will get this poetry started. So the first one that I wanted to read was by the French poet Charles Baudelaire, who is known for his collection of poetry called Les Fleurs du Mal, or The Flowers of Evil, the Garden of Evil, or something like that. Very, very bohemian, pulled out all the stops: sex, drugs, death, loneliness, depression. Great reading. No, he actually really was an amazing author and poet. And so he's the first poet today. And this is Meditation. Calm down, my sorrow. We must move with care. You called for evening. It descends. It's here. The town is coffined in its atmosphere, bringing relief to some, to others care. Now, while the common multitude strips bare, feels pleasure's cat o' nine tails on its back, and fights off anguish at the great bazaar, give me your hand, my sorrow. Let's stand back, back from these people. Look, the dead years dressed in old clothes crowd the balconies of the sky. Regret emerges smiling from the sea. The sick sun slumbers underneath an arch, and like a shroud strung out from east to west. Listen, my dearest, hear the sweet night march. Like I said, he was a very cheery person. Let's see. Actually, I have another one here. I think this is all of it. I only printed off one page, but this is called The Abyss. Pascal's abyss went with him at his side, closer than blood. Alas, activity, dreams, words, desire, all holes. On every side, spaces, the bat wing of insanity. Above, below me, only depths and shoal, the silence. And the Lord's right arm traces his nightmare, truceless, multiform. I cuddle the insensible blank air, and fear to sleep as one fears a great hole. My spirit, haunted by its vertigo, sees the infinite at every window, vague, horrible, and dropping God knows where. Ah, never to escape from numbers and form. You see why I love Charles Baudelaire? The man was awesome. Plus, I'm such a francophile anyway. All right, so the next poem is one of my favorites. This is by Percy Bysshe Shelley. And if I remember correctly, he was mad, bad, and dangerous to know. Of course, you had to like him. This one is called Ozymandias. And I'm sure a lot of you people have heard this poem, but here we go. I met a traveler from an antique land who said, "Two vast and trunkless legs of stone stand in the desert. Near them, on the sand, half sunk a shattered visage lies, whose frown and wrinkled lip and sneer of cold command tell that its sculptor well those passions read, which yet survive, stamped out on these lifeless things, the hand that mocked them and the heart that fed. And on the pedestal these words appear: My name is Ozymandias, King of kings. Look on my works, ye mighty, and despair. Nothing beside remains. Round the decay of that colossal wreck, boundless and bare, the lone and the level sands stretch far away." It just gives me shivers every time I read that poem. All right, so next, I figure we would visit the bard himself, William Shakespeare. And as you know, he was well known for his sonnets. So this one is Sonnet 47. Betwixt mine eye and heart a league is took, and each doth good turn now unto the other. When that mine eye is famished for a look, or heart in love with signs himself doth smother, with my love's picture then my eye doth feast, and to the painted banquet bids my heart. Another time mine eye is my heart's guest, and in his thoughts of love doth share a part. So, either by my picture or my love, thyself away art resent still with me, for thou not farther than my thoughts canst move, and I am still with them, and they with thee. Or, if they sleep, thy picture in my sight, awaken my heart to heart's and eyes' delight. I chose that one because that's my age. I figured why not. All right, so let's see if my tisane has cooled down some. Which, by the way, I don't know. Well, you probably can't see it, but it's a nice caramel color. So here we go. Oh, that's lovely. That's very lovely. Mm. You know, because, and I take that back, the mint that I'm tasting is actually lemon balm. I just remember that. But in drinking this tea right before lunch, it kind of helps with the digestive tract. Like I feel like my hunger is kind of increased somewhat. So this is very lovely. This is a very, very good cup of tea. And actually I can taste the rose hips kind of commingling with the lemon balm. That is very nice. And actually, just to show again with my French press, I did let it steep for about 5 to 6 minutes. With herbal tisanes, you can let them steep as long as you like. It all depends on your preference and your taste. But I try to steep mine for about 5 minutes. That seems to be a good enough time. So once again, if you've forgotten, I'm drinking Tisane of the Ravensdale, which is one of my herbal tea blend or tea or Tisane through my Etsy store, Viridian Tea Company. It was inspired by my book called The Decembrists, which was published through Dark Oak Press. It's also available through my Etsy store as well. One more sip. That's heavenly. So I have one last poem, and this has a lot of meaning for me. This is by Maya Angelou. She's one of my muses. She's one of my sources of strength and inspiration. And she's also the source of inspiration for four of my tea blends. I know, shameless plugging, and I do apologize for that. But this particular poem called Still I Rise, I actually made a tea blend inspired by this poem. So this poem means a lot more to me now than ever before. If you have not read her work or any of the works of the poets that I've read so far, do yourself a favor. And if you can go to the library or your local bookstore, just browse through the poetry section and see what jumps out at you. Whether it's, Charles Baudelaire or Percy Bysshe Shelley or Shakespeare or Maya Angelou or anyone, just enjoy some poetry today. I think the world would be a little bit better if we spent more time reading poetry and played with kittens and puppies, but that's just me. Anyway, this is Still I Rise by Maya Angelou. You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still, like dirt, I'll rise. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with gloom? 'Cause I walk like I've got oil wells pumping in my living room, just like moons and the suns, with the certainty of tides, just like hope springing high, still I'll rise. Did you want to see me broken, bowed head and lowered eyes, shoulders falling down like teardrops, weakened by my soulful cries? 'Twas my haughtiness offend you. Don't you take it awful hard, 'cause I laugh like I got gold mines digging in my own backyard. You may shoot me with your words, you may cut me with your eyes, you may kill me with your hatefulness, but still like air I'll rise. Does my sexiness upset you? Does it come as a surprise that I dance like I've got diamonds? Out of the huts of history's shame I rise. Up from a past that's rooted in pain, I rise. I'm a black ocean, leaping and wide. Welling and swelling, I bear in the tide. Leaving behind nights of terror and fear, I rise. Into a daybreak that's wondrously clear, I rise. Bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave. I am the dream and the hope of the slave. I rise, I rise, I rise. And my apologies, I actually missed a line, so I'm going to do that one section again. Does my sexiness upset you? Does it come as a surprise that I dance like I've got diamonds at the meeting of my thighs? That's a good way to kind of end this. But yes, so once again, these are just some poems that mean a lot to me for a myriad of reasons. But if you can get out today, or if you're at home, you can look up poetryfoundation.org. They have a plethora of poets just ready for you to read and discover and enjoy, or maybe cry, or maybe remember a memory. But again, I just think that poetry is such an amazing thing, and I really wish we could read more of it. And in fact, start today. One more sip of the Tisane of the Ravensdale. That really is heavenly. That's wonderful. So before I end this video, let's do just a little breathing meditation. I always have to end with that. So get yourself in a comfortable position. When you're ready, close your eyes. Just take 3 deep breaths, just as deep as you can go, and exhale. And as you return to your normal breathing, a word for you to think about, and that's joy. We're still in the middle of this pandemic, and yet there's still joy. Just take a few minutes and think about, have you encountered any joy recently? What did it look like? Did it come in the form of a person, perhaps an event, or maybe something like a smile or a flower? Maybe it came to you in 5 minutes of alone time, or 20 minutes with a really good book. Just think about something that's brought you joy recently. If you get bogged down by thoughts of other subjects, it's okay. Just tell yourself thinking and turn back to that thought or that moment or that person that brought you joy recently. And now to wrap up this short meditation, just take a deep breath in through the nose and just blow it out through the mouth in a steady sigh. Return to whatever room you're in, and when you're ready, open your eyes. Thank you so much, as always, for coming into my tea house. You never know what I'm going to do on this channel. But take care of yourself and each other. Drink lots of tea, read books, smile at a stranger, and until the next time, shalom.